This is Suffer Up with Nate and Ryan.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Good morning to you, Ryan.
Good morning to you, Nate.
It is a rainy day in the shop here, so we apologize if there is any feedback. It's a tin roof, and it's kind of calming down right now, but if you have a little bit there, we apologize for the quality. We try to ensure that you listeners are provided with the highest quality that we can provide, and sometimes weather affects that, unfortunately, until we grow and get
a few things out of our control.
That's it. So
thunder and rain are part of this.
That's it. You can only edit out so much of that. And so anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Suffer Up podcast, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose, striving to level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Today's episode requires a slight disclaimer.
A little bit.
And so the information that we're about to unfold today, we are not claiming to be experts at any of this. We are also not claiming to be doctors or therapists or behavioral scientists or neuro doctors or any of that. However, we are two regular dudes that want to have healthy kids, healthy families, and these are strictly our own observations, and you can draw whatever conclusions you want to draw on the information we're about to open up here. But we just want to make that disclaimer up front, in that the statistics and stuff we share are stuff that we've just found through our own research. And we think that there's some possible correlations to some of the things we're going to talk about. But we just want to open it up with that, and because there's going to be people that disagree with some of the things we're going to say, and that's fine to disagree. We're just putting it out there so that the narrative for the topic is open and out there, so that people can have the conversation. That's strictly it. So, Ryan, would you mind introducing our topic for today?
Yeah. So, all that to say, we're talking about ADHD, ADD, disorders of said type in children specifically. We want to talk about, are these things legitimate? Are they legitimate concerns, and are they on the rise, or are kids just being kids? What's the deal with this stuff? So before we jump into our thoughts, we've got a few statistics. First off, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and ADD is the same thing without hyperactivity.
Yeah.
So it's essentially just a disorder where kids have a hard time focusing and are hyperactive, can't sit still, have to be moving around, doing stuff the whole time, which is really not ideal for our current classroom settings.
Right.
I think that's where the biggest issues come in, is in school. They are having trouble there. But our statistics that we found were...
ADHD diagnosis in kids rose by 42% from 2003 to 2011.
Yep.
That's kind of the first one that we first started with. We're like, holy cow, there's a rise, 42%.
Yeah, so 11.4% of U.S. children between the ages of 3 and 17 have been diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
That's over 10% of kids. And that was as of 2022, so it's probably even higher now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Nate just said, between 2003 and 2011, there was a 42% increase in ADHD diagnosis.
Yeah.
That is huge, ginormous. So if that trajectory continued, that 2022 statistic would be low. We're probably looking at more like 13, 14% of all kids have ADHD.
Right.
That's scary. Having 3 kids of my own, that's alarming. And having a boy, we both have a boy.
Yep.
That's even more alarming, because boys are 2 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than girls.
Right.
Which is not that surprising when you think about what ADHD means, the hyperactivity. You think of boys being wild little boys.
Wow.
And it's not that surprising,
right.
But it does concern me, because I don't want my kid being labeled as something necessarily, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, sometimes there's real issues, legitimate issues that need addressing. But is this ADHD stuff real, or is it just hocus pocus?
Hocus pocus. Yeah, and 78% of kids with ADHD also are diagnosed with another behavioral learning condition. So 3/4 of the kids population that have been diagnosed with ADHD also been diagnosed with something else as well related to
those things could be behavioral or conduct problems, anxiety, depression, autism, Tourette's, things like that.
Yeah. Now, when we open this up, we're not saying that ADHD is not a real thing. I want to make that really clear. When you look at like these behavioral disorders and stuff, kids, like there is instances, even in adults, where like chemical imbalances occur low in, different neurotransmitters and stuff, and it can affect you in a negative way. Totally understand that. Totally get it. And we're not saying that any of this is necessarily hocus pocus. Can't talk.
But are these numbers? Is the amount that we're seeing and the incredible rise of numbers, is all that legitimate? And if it is, then that's concerning. What's the underlying issue?
Right.
So again, like Nate said earlier, we're not doctors, we're not experts. We're just trying to ask some questions and get everybody's wheels spinning on these issues and go, why and how is this possible?
Right.
What's going on?
And maybe there's somebody listening who is like really, really smart and like really, really into or like works with kids on the daily with this kind of stuff that would love to get on here and share more. Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have a conversation because I've got 2 kids. Ryan has 3. We'd love to learn more, and we have listeners that have kids. So
please,
we're just here to open up the dialogue because it was a topic of discussion that we had a little while ago. So we're like, let's write that down to talk about it. So here we are. And so we're going to kind of share some of our observations through our experiences and things that we've seen. With all these numbers, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that I lost the statistic earlier, but it was around 90%, I believe, of kids who are diagnosed with ADHD are then treated for it. Treatment can be a variety of things. It could be behavioral treatment, like just meeting with a counselor and stuff like that, or it could be medication.
Yeah.
So I don't know what percentage of that is necessarily medication. I didn't find that statistic when I was looking, but a good amount. I would guess that it's at least half of them are being treated with medication. The top 2 medications were Ritalin and Adderall, both neurostimulants, right?
Yep.
So these were kids, again, from ages 3 to 17. So we're talking about some little kid, toddler, getting Ritalin or Adderall to help them be a little more calm in the classroom.
Yeah.
That to me is very worrisome. Not that they may actually have an issue, but is it worth giving them medication for? I don't know. I mean, that's up to parents to decide, but it is a little bit alarming that so many kids are being treated with medication.
Yeah, and what's crazy about Adderall is like it's essentially legal meth. Like when you look back, I mean, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's an amphetamine. So
the medical name is methyl. I can't say it, but it starts with meth.
Yeah, and so if you actually typed in Adderall history, and in 1887, the French chemist, I'm not even going to pronounce his name, Lazare Kukle, synthesizes amphetamine and the active ingredients in Adderall. And when you look at like the history timeline, it's used for people with hyperactivity disorders such as ADHD in the 50s. But it was also used by soldiers during World War II as a stimulant, and I imagine to like stay awake for long periods of time.
Yeah.
It was also a medication used for narcolepsy and depression in the like early 30s. And then in 1970, the Controlled Substance Act classified amphetamine as a Schedule II drug, meaning it has a high potential for abuse and addiction.
Wow.
So we're giving our kids something that is highly addictive
Yeah.
at an early age.
And that treats all these different things. So, your kid may not have had depression, but if you ever try and pull your kid off of Adderall after he's been on it for 3 years,
Yep.
what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's highly addictive. That's a recipe for more problems.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that so many kids have co-diagnosis with
Mhm.
ADHD, because they're being pumped full of medicine that kind of gives them that.
Right. And I mean, when I took hazmat class, the instructor said anything that's like says methyl ethyl on it, it's like it follows up with methyl ethyl bad stuff. So like it's not good. So I would say I'm not, if it's at the point where your child is struggling like to learn, I think a lot of times people are jumping into the medication, the pharmaceutical route a little quick.
Yeah.
And let's eliminate all the other variables that are there first, to try to heal and cope with their hyperactive child. And so what are some of the ways that we've kind of discussed, like with these kids, that we could do with them to help them before we start jumping to medicine?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think first off, you got to take a step back and go, okay, where do we define hyperactivity as excess versus regular?
Yeah.
I mean, like we just said, like little boys, they're wild. Wild
Mhm.
little boys. I got a little girl who's kind of wild too.
Yeah.
They're just kids. And if we're asking them to sit still at a desk for 6-8 hours in a day,
Unrealistic.
yeah, maybe you're asking a little much.
Yeah.
A big thing that came up in the research for this podcast was free play. Free play is extremely beneficial in kids with ADHD, but I would argue that it's beneficial in every single kid out there.
Yeah.
They need that. Free play specifically is just play where they have freedom to do what they want and be creative, to be to improvise and find solutions to their own problems.
Cause and effect.
Yeah. It's where a teacher's not hovering over them going, oh, you did that wrong. No, like they're outside, they're playing, they kick a ball and it goes into the woods. Well, you either kicked it too hard or in the wrong direction. Like
Right.
you're seeing, like you said, the cause and effect of things. And then, well, problem solved. Now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
That free play is essential, and it allows the kids to explore without feeling constricted.
Yeah.
That constricted feeling is what makes these kids feel, I guess you could say, anxious, but they just don't know how to express it. They feel constricted. They feel what they are. They feel like they can't do what they want to do, and so they act out. Either they get upset, they start causing problems, or maybe they just get hyper and want to move around the classroom, do things. So I think in schools, teachers can be heroes about this kind of stuff. Maybe you can't provide that much free play for your students all the time, but when I was a kid, I didn't want to sit still, and I had a really great teacher one time who would let me stand at my desk. That sounds like a really little thing, but she put my desk in the back of the classroom so that I wasn't in view of all the other students, so they couldn't see me and I wasn't distracting.
Yeah.
But then I could stand at my desk and I could move around. I could do my little wiggles back there. Some people tap their foot. I want to tap my whole body, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just wiggle around. So me being at the back of the classroom and being able to stand up, that was like a huge, huge positive change in my school year.
Yeah.
I was able to focus better. I was able to get work done, all because I wasn't thinking about what I was having to physically do anymore.
Yeah.
I was able to focus on the work on my desk and not worry about focusing on keeping my hands and feet still.
Right.
And that sounds like such a minor little thing, but we're asking a lot of our kids.
It's true.
A
Yeah, and
lot.
I think that we can oftentimes get caught in putting our kids into a box. Like, we want you to do this and be robots and do this stuff. Like, let your kids be kids. I think kind of like segues into a really good topic as well. Like, what happened? Because we can see the numbers. There's an increase from 03 to 11. And so what happened between 03 and 11 that is causing these kids to, I think the creative free play has declined.
Yeah. Well, that's just this 03 to 11 is just a little snippet that we're able to see in the statistic. You brought up a good question before we started recording. Said, how many older people, like in their 50s, 60s, do
Yeah.
we see that have ADHD, or that we look at them and go, man, that person's like super hyper?
Yeah.
The answer is very, very few.
Yeah.
So not just what changed from 2003 to now, but what changed from 40, 50 years ago to
Right.
now? That's a great question.
Yeah. I think some of the symptoms of ADHD can kind of wax and wane. Like they kind of go away as we get older
as
and we
you
mature and we're
yeah.
developing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think every child at some point could be diagnosed with ADHD. Like,
probably,
because knowing other people who've been with their kids to the doctor, like, I think he has ADHD. And then the doctor's like, yeah, he probably does. And then all of a sudden, boom, now the kid's on medicine.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm sure that attributes to part of the rise in the numbers is rise of diagnosis.
Mhm.
You know, more people know about it, so they're going there, hey, I think my kid's got ADHD. Well, yeah, like you said, that's a surefire yes. Now you're a number.
Yeah.
Now you're a statistic. So that definitely contributes to the uptick.
Mhm.
But I think that there's far more at hand than just that.
I agree. Yeah, it's like you could take. I bet if you took 10 kids ages like 6 to 10, you could measure and look at their behaviors, and a doctor could say half the class is ADHD.
Oh, easily.
Just off of the symptoms of ADHD and ADD.
Easily.
And so I think, truthfully, I really think that the structure of the American home has changed as of recent. And I don't blame the parents, because the world has changed.
The home, the community, not just the home, but the home has changed because the community's changed, and that's changed because the world has changed.
Right. I mean, you look back at our childhood, we're not that old. Like, I'm 32, and so I remember, and I lived in a different part of America. I mean, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You
we
were
both
pretty
lived
close
in
to the
small
same.
towns.
Yeah. I mean, once I could ride a two-wheel bicycle, man, I was a free man. I was a free boy.
Yeah. Gone.
And I just had to be back by the time the sun came down, you know? We'd go down in the woods that was like half a mile away from the house, and we were building forts, we were building fires, we were cooking worms on tin cans and eating them just to be kids.
Yum.
Yeah, it was disgusting. We convinced ourselves it was yummy because we're, survivalists. But we're being boys and we're outside all day. Like, mom always had dirty laundry to do because they were muddy, and riding bikes, making jumps, cutting trails, shooting bows and arrows. Like, there were not a lot of critters around our yard because we killed them all. Like, because we were being boys.
Yeah.
And once I learned how to shoot a 22, I was out, like, being savage little boys. And, like, looking back, like, some people be like, that's horrible. Like, no, it's not. Men, like, boys want to be warriors, and so let them be boys. Let them be like that aggressive. There's also, I didn't look up the statistic, but I remember hearing about it. Boys need aggressive play to help them develop.
Yep.
And so, like, my son, all he wants to do is like fight and wrestle and like all this stuff, and I do it with him.
Yeah.
I always win, of course. He's 3, but like, he also knows that like daddy's stronger, and so but he still takes on that challenge to try to beat daddy.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of dads getting on the floor with their kids and like playing with them and like being aggressive with them, and just, they want to crawl on your back and like play king of the mountain on your back. Like, let them do it,
Yeah.
So I think it's declined, and I think that, so now we're like, no, just be quiet. Here's a screen. Here's like, let's pacify him.
Yeah. So not just the times have changed, but the environment has changed so much.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just said, screens, toys, food, so much stuff. And we were talking earlier about this, and there are so many options. Like, kids get overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
Back then, when we were kids, there was nothing to do inside, so you went outside.
Yeah.
So now my kids are sitting in a bedroom with 100 toys around them, and they're like overwhelmed with things to play with.
Yeah.
that I don't think is a great thing, and it's something that we're working on,
Yeah.
kind of decluttering and getting our kids back to boredom. Boredom is a good thing. You know, when they're bored, that's when they start being more creative and taking the reins on their free play more.
Yeah.
You know, if they've got 10 different things to play with in their room and they can bounce from one thing to another, that's okay. But it's a lot better when they've got 3 things to play with and they get bored playing with 1, 2, and 3. So then they start mixing them.
Yeah.
You know, you're mixing Legos with Barbies with whatever. Like, whoa, now we're getting creative.
Right.
How can you make a Barbie chair out of Legos? And now that's part of it. Like stuff like that if you have a Barbie chair and 100 Barbie chairs, well, they're never going to make one out of Legos because they've got 100 of them.
That's true. Yeah. And like also with that too is coming up with creative games. So, you know, I told Brant this fall he's going to come up with me to Wisconsin to deer hunt. So that's all he talks about. He thinks we got him this little toy bow, you know, so he thinks he's going to shoot the deer with his plunger bow and arrow at 3 years old. But
just suction cup the deer.
Yeah. I told him I'd take him out in the stand a couple times. So I'm looking forward to that. But he's like, he sees me practicing in the backyard shooting my bow and he wants to go hunting. So he brings his bow out there to shoot with me. Well, we got this little high like recliner thing in the house. And so I come out and we went turkey hunting in the living room and I was the turkey and I had my mouth call in and I'm, yelping or whatever. And I get close and I do like a pretend strut and all this. And then he shoots his bow and then, I like run off and play dead. And then they come up and then they just pretend to, field dress me essentially.
Yeah.
Like that's so
He's got
good.
A suction cup arrow stuck to his eye.
To my forehead. He's actually getting a pretty good shot. He doesn't miss me very often now.
That's awesome.
But like that is so good for kids because one, you're building a connection with them.
Yep.
And they know that's the way that you communicate to your kids, that they feel loved because it's you're spending time with them and a one-on-one attention, which also we didn't look these statistics up, but I know they're on the rise. Like kids with depression, like the amount of calls that I've ran with young kids, especially girls that deal with depression or have been diagnosed with depression at like 10 years old.
Wow.
Like the suicide attempts from young girls is like crazy how many attempts have been made by these young girls or even young boys. Now, some of that's contributed to the home life.
Yeah.
But truthfully, if they got a mom and a dad that love each other and those that mom and that dad love that child and show love in this way, like I'm a firm believer that those numbers
close to zero.
Yeah, close to zero.
Yeah.
Like what do you have to worry about at 10 years old? If you do have something to worry about, then it's probably the poor home life. Like dad is being a bum, sitting on the couch watching TV and just yells at the kids all the time.
Like you said, attention. You're as a parent, you're giving your attention to something. You're either giving it away to something that doesn't care about it, i.e. tablet, phone, TV, or you're giving it to something that cares infinitely more than you even know about your intention, like your kids or your spouse.
Yeah.
So where are you guys directing your attention?
Mm-hmm.
And what's that doing to your children?
It's not a lot of good things. Again, it's a tool. So we've talked about it before, but use your tools wisely. And your kids are of utmost importance. Your relationship with God first, then your wife, your marriage, and then your kids. And like those 3 things are the most important responsibility that you have on earth.
Yeah. And if you nail the first 2, the third one is going to come pretty easily.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I guess like summarize some of that is let your kids be free range kids, like free range chickens, let them out of the coop, let them go run around, let them be a little bit reckless.
Yeah.
And you had a good way of kind of,
a good analogy that I heard a while back was that you don't want to be like a roller coaster with your kids, like where you keep them on a track.
Yeah.
Sure, a roller coaster's fun and wild, but it's the same every single time. And eventually that gets boring.
Yeah.
Because they're on this track. What you want to do is be more like a wide road with guardrails. Mm-hmm. The kids have the freedom to go fast, go slow, veer left, veer right, do their own thing, but your guardrails are there for safety measures so they don't go off the cliff on either side.
Yeah, that's really good.
That is, it's easier said than done sometimes, especially in the world that we live in. Like we were saying, I mean, the world's changed. So how do we let our kids go outside and be like we were when we don't live in the same kind of small town setting and the world seems more dangerous? Let's
sit on that question for just a second, because I don't know that we had it to talk about it, but I think you said something perfect there. How do we, like, I have an answer to this, but I'll ask you first. Like, how would somebody that has kids that are like, oh my goodness, they're just so hyper, I can't get them to focus, I can't get them to sit down. Well, first you got to kind of wear them out. It's like when you're training a dog.
Yeah.
You got to wear the dog out, let him play before he'll pay attention.
Yeah.
And so
you don't mean spank him.
Yeah, no.
Not wear him out.
Well, no, not not spanking. I'm talking about let him go run, let him go climb, do all the things. So in today's world, we can't just necessarily let them go out on the street and just go do whatever they want to do. Some areas, neighborhoods, geographically, you might still be able to do that, but because of all the nastiness that's out there now, we're way more cautious and wary as parents.
I think we can a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
I think we're the problem as parents. Like, we're so indoctrinated in this world that we're like fear stricken of everything.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, you live in a big neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, your kids could probably run through the whole neighborhood and be perfectly fine, come back home, and it would never be an issue. But in the back of our minds as adults that we've grown up in this world and been taught, don't talk to strangers. There's weird people everywhere. We're like, one person could swing by and jack a kid.
Yeah.
And that would be, the worst thing ever. So I'm not going to let my kids around the neighborhood. In reality, I don't think the statistics say that.
Yeah.
Like, the chances of your kid getting kidnapped are so low.
Yeah.
But we live in this world of fear.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know if there's any way around that.
I'm not going to let a 3-year-old run through the neighborhood.
No. No, probably not.
Yeah,
but like your daughter,
I
I mean, our older kids could probably run within a 3-mile radius of our house and be perfectly fine.
Probably. Yeah,
but we're not going to let them do that.
We're blessed because our neighbors have kids pretty close to the same age as us. So their adventure is like, sometimes they just go ring the doorbell. I kind of wish that they would at least ask first, but I'll come home sometimes and Lauren's in the kitchen and where are the kids? Oh, they're over at the neighbor's house playing. And it just makes my heart happy that we have awesome neighbors like that are willing to, they have similar values. So like, I don't worry about my kids when they're over there. And sometimes I come home and their kids are at our house and it's crazy in the house and there's stuff everywhere, but they're being reckless.
They're building memories.
Yeah. And sometimes, I'll look back and the neighbor boy is on top of the fence. I'm like, how did you get up there? And he's just being a boy.
Yeah.
He's being the hyperactive boy that he is, but he loves to play and he always has a weapon with him, a toy weapon, of course. But yeah, like one thing that I like to do is, we got a little open field, is we'll get in the golf cart and go ride down there and just let the kids just run in the wide open space. When we go up to Wisconsin to see my parents, they live on 2 acres, but it feels like they're living on 2,000 because the whole field's where our playground. We get lost in the corn as a kid, you know, and we had to figure out how to get out of the cornfield. And if you've ever been lost in a cornfield, it's pretty intimidating. But
I love places like that where like neighbors' land feels like freedom. I was gonna say free land, but to a kid, it's like they're free to explore it. Just don't mess up your neighbor's stuff.
Yeah,
and you're good. I had some great neighbors like that when I was a kid growing up that were completely fine with me riding my dirt bike even all over their property.
Yeah,
up in the hills, as long as I didn't ride through their cow pasture or something. Like that. There was a few set rules, but the rest was like, sure, dude, go be a kid.
Yeah,
have fun.
Exactly.
Try not to break your neck on my land.
Yeah, exactly. I was also thinking too, when you said that, like neighbors growing up, we had this neighbor boy that was down the hill. He was a little less fortunate than we were country neighbors. Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
It's not like next to us.
3 miles away.
Yeah. But anyway, we'd like meet up all the time. Sometimes he'd come over to our house and play, and we'd go over to his house. And I remember like he had older brothers, so he was the youngest. He had an older brother and an older sister. His older brother was like into smoking pot and stuff, and the sister did sister stuff. And I remember he would come over and he would just act outlandish, and he would say crazy stuff. Well, one day he was picking on my brother, and we were like a little wolf pack. Well, I just came up to him and just socked him. Like, that's not okay, but I just straight up socked him, and then he got on the ground, and then I'm ripping on him. And then before I know it, he's on top of me, and he's like just ripping on my face. And we come in, and I've got like a bloody nose, and Mom's like, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, I got in a fight with the neighbor kid." And my mom is just like, "Well, you shouldn't have done that. What was that about?" "Well, he's picking on Matt." "Well, good job standing up for your brother, but how does this feel?" I said, "It hurts." "All right, well, now you know what it's like to be in a fight."
Yeah.
But I'm like, cause and effect.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got in the fight now. Was it good that I got in that fist fight with that kid? But like,
yeah,
you know,
but lessons learned
just
early
lesson
on.
learned, yeah.
That bloody nose is painful, but not nearly as painful as going to jail because you did something stupid as a 19-year-old.
Right.
You know.
But my mom didn't call the neighbor parents, you know, like causing a thing
and
or whatever.
I bet the next day you guys were back out there playing together.
Yeah. Right.
That's something I've always loved about little boys in particular is that they just fight it out and then move on.
Yeah. Well,
like
we were tight.
Little girls are vicious. They hold a grudge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yep.
Little boys are like, I'm going to punch you in your face, then tomorrow we're going to play hide and seek.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. Like when I worked at the psych floor at the old hospital, there was 4 floors. You had the geriatric floor, the women's floor, the men's floor, and the pediatric floor for behavioral health issues.
Yeah.
And so they had all kinds, schizophrenia, bipolar, like legit stuff going on in there. It was like full lockdown, everything else. Geriatric floor, easy. Dementia, Alzheimer's. Like, it wasn't easy, but like easy people to manage. People. You know, they're just confused and kind of at the end of their life. And then you've got the men's floor, and they'll get down, and there'll be fights, but you can kind of talk to them like bros, and they'll kind of settle down.
Yeah.
And kind of get in their face a little bit and just kind of say like, "You're not in charge. I'm in charge." I'm not an intimidating person at all, but you can kind of reason a little bit more.
Yeah.
Kids floor is just sad because the kids floor is like, you got these kids, you can't fight the kids, but the kids want to really fight you.
Yeah.
But they're literally messed up. But most of those kids were like broken homes, you know. But the floor that scared me the most, the woman's floor. How do you fight or defend yourself against a woman that wants to scratch your eyes out? And you can't reason with them. Like, they're
women.
Yeah. We love you.
No.
But it's true, man. The women's floor, and arguably everybody else agreed, like that women's floor, oof, that was a tough floor to be on.
Jeez.
It's next level. But we're here talking about kids. And the kids' floor was most of the time, those kids either didn't have a dad or had a broken home or an abusive home that literally changed the makeup of who they are. And it's really hard for kids to bounce back from that.
Yeah.
And so
there's so much development that happens in the early years.
Yeah.
And if you screw that up to that extent, then the bounce back is non-existent.
Yes. But
screw it up a little bit, but kids are resilient.
They're very resilient. So I guess like the big takeaway for our listeners here, again, we started the podcast with, we're not doctors. We're not medically trained professionals in this realm by any stretch of the words, but some observations, just kind of like recap everything is
observations and questions.
Yes. ADHD, ADD, behavioral health issues are on the rise.
Yep.
Things that we can do to help mitigate some of these things before we start turning to doctors and medicine for like modern day medicine.
Yeah.
One I'd say is get your children on a good, healthy diet. Rid the toxins that are in food. One of the things that we noticed with my son was his speech was not the best, and he should have been hitting. We did a heavy metal detox, and switched to a much better filtration because the municipal water is quite horrible in this area. Immediately, within 1 week, saw a huge change.
Wow.
We got rid of doing a lot of the processed wheats, and we started doing like true wheat that's like from Italy and stuff that doesn't have all that extra garbage that's in it.
Yeah, not the getting rid of the enriched stuff. Enriched wheat.
So
enriched and fortified.
That's it. So do your homework there. All our meats are either stuff I've killed or wild pasture raised stuff that doesn't have the hormones, antibiotics, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we've eliminated that.
So just be cautious of what you're putting into your kid's body.
Yeah.
That can be diet based, that can be medicine based, that can be vaccine based.
Yeah.
I know everybody's got lots of different opinions on vaccines, but one thing I specifically, my wife and I do when we take our kids to the doctor and they want to get, it's time for their 2-year checkup or whatever, and they need 3 vaccines.
Yeah.
We don't ever do more than one at a time.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you if you even do any or all of them, and sometimes we don't. But the point is, do one at a time, because if you do 3 at a time and your kid has a reaction to something, you don't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I would say at the very least, if you want to get your kid vaccinated for everything under the sun, do it one at a time. Give their body a chance to react to something or not react to it, and then move on from that.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, when I was vaccinated as a kid, it wasn't as many shots as what they're giving now. So that's a very controversial topic and very spoken about right now.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of new studies coming out about vaccines and kids with autism, ADHD, stuff like that. Acetaminophen, your Tylenol causing, what was it, autism? You read?
Yeah, the White House came out with something this last few weeks ago about they found that women that consume or take acetaminophen, and it's acetaminophen. I've heard some mispronunciations of that word.
Whatever, Tylenol.
Yeah, Tylenol. If you're taking it during pregnancy, your child has a higher increase in autism. That's just what they're saying. There's no telling. Acetaminophen is...
I mean, I don't doubt it. But it's probably not just that. It's probably all the medicines.
There's too many contributing factors.
Yeah, I was going to say, it has to do with, is the mother of this unborn child eating McDonald's every day? There's so many things going into your body. It's not just the Tylenol.
Yeah.
Surely it's not just that.
Yeah.
You were just talking about all the different processed foods that we're putting in us. All these things are contributing factors. So back to your point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control what goes in your kids' bodies.
Yeah. I'd like to see a study done about people that live like the way we used to live.
Yeah.
Not like us, but like
people.
Years and years ago, where they're pulling water from a spring out of outside of a mountain, and they're growing their own vegetables, and they're harvesting their own game and animals and farm animals. People that truly live that way, and look at the numbers, like do a case study and do the numbers on those people, and as far as behavioral health and just general health issues.
Well, look at all the old people like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the case studies are probably there. People just don't want to acknowledge it.
I also don't think that they necessarily were the healthiest, because they were also part of the
cigarettes.
Well, they were also part of the cigarettes, but they were also part of the the advancement of medicine. Like there was a lot of stuff that happened during their generation.
A lot of new stuff.
And like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, no, it's really not. Like, and like Teflon. There's an interesting documentary on that. Like DuPont.
All the things that came out during that time.
Oh, it's a non-stick pan. Well, my cast iron is non-stick. So anyway. So I think that there's obviously flaws in their generation as well, but there's too many things. Like let's eliminate the variables. So make sure your kids got clean water, give them good, wholesome food, high protein, a balance of carbohydrates, get them to eat their vegetables. A trick that I started doing with my kids is doing protein pancakes. I love them, and mixing in like soup, like greens, the granulated greens into my kids' food. So as a whole, try to give your kids good food.
Yeah.
Allow them to do creative self-play. Create an environment for them. Don't be a train track, be the bumpers, be the rails. And just allow them to do those things. Make sure they're getting a lot of sleep. Let have a regimented bedtime. Get the sleep that they need.
I think sleep is underrated.
Yeah.
But kids need a lot of sleep, like more than 8 hours.
Yep.
So make sure that they get that or have the opportunity to get that on a regular basis at least.
Yep.
Sure, there's going to be some nights that you end up staying up late or whatnot, but a regular sleep schedule that includes more than 8 hours is really, really beneficial to your kids.
Yes. And eliminate not eliminate, but try to protect screen times.
Yep.
It's turning your kids' brains into potato soup, and it's not good. Like, don't use it as a coping mechanism to try to control them. We adopt Friday night movie night. That's really the only time the TV is on in our house.
Yeah.
Every once in a while on a Saturday we might have it on, but for the most part, Friday night movie nights, that's it. And I'm not saying that my house is perfect. We got issues, but it's just some things that we've adopted, and we've noticed a change in our children's behavior. I also had this, I didn't bring it up earlier, but like my son and my daughter have this game they like to play. My daughter's the mommy and my son is the dad. So they call each other mommy and daddy. And one of Lexi's baby dolls is like the kid.
Yeah.
And so when my daughter goes to school, my son takes care of it as though like he's a stay-at-home dad, and like literally takes her to the bathroom, gives her baths, feeds her, like all this stuff. And it's like this game that they play like indefinitely.
Never ends.
It never ends. And it just makes me happy because like their creative side is.
It's gonna be a sad day when one day they stop playing that.
I know,
man.
And every time I come home from work, there's something on my nightstand. There's more toys in our bedroom than there is in their room.
Yeah.
Like a Matchbox car or whatever's on my nightstand, and it just like, it used to bother me, but now I'm like, one day I'm gonna wake up and want to see a Matchbox car on my nightstand.
Yep.
So.
Yep. My nightstand's littered with little notes from my daughter.
That's cool. Yeah.
Pictures that she's drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let your kids be kids. And you know what? Your kids probably, if they're just all over the place and acting crazy, they're probably normal.
Yeah.
Let them get their wiggles out. Let them be wild. Let them be crazy. And then
they also probably do have ADHD.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would argue that is normal.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So don't be quick to medicate your kids.
Yeah.
That's the advice I have. But what do I know?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. I know a lot about nothing.
No.
Just observations, guys.
I second all that. I think you just need to control what goes in your kids. I think you'll be surprised at how mellow and good they actually are when they have better stuff put into them.
Yeah.
If your kids eat at McDonald's and then have a Coke at the age of 4, yeah, they're going to be bouncing off the walls and they're going to throw tantrums. Like, their body's not made for that.
Right.
Nobody's really is, but a 4-year-old definitely isn't. So I think you'd be surprised at how good your kids can act or how much their behavior can change when you focus on what you put into them. And then what comes out is just them being a kid.
Yep.
Let them be.
Let them be kids, guys. So that's our thoughts. We'd love to open up the dialogue. Please share your comments with us. And
tell us we're wrong.
Tell us we're wrong. Disagree with us. That's okay. We like disagreement. So yeah, this is the Suffer Up Podcast with Nate and Ryan. Little disclaimer as well. Check out our link tree in the description of this podcast where you can follow up and get a hold of all of our episodes, but also you can get a hold of a pair of sweet soft socks. They are a sponsor of the channel, and we have a discount code for them, Suffer10. We also have a Sticker Mule store where you can get some stickers and merchandise to help support the channel and keep doing what we are doing. We love you guys, and we thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Suffer Up Podcast.
Suffer up.